So I'm sure many of you have seen at this point in time all of the rumor mill, leak, speculation talk around Metroid Prime 2 Echoes potentially being set for a remastered game with a reveal coming soon, or the game more than likely just shadow dropping, as you have to go back into the history books with these particular Metroid rumors and leaks, because you may remember that before Metroid Prime 1 Remastered was officially unveiled, this was one of those games that was talked about in the rumor mill speculation territory online for literally close to 2 years, if I'm not mistaken. We had all the big names suggesting it was coming at some time: Jeff Grubb, Nate the Hate, Emily Rogers, amongst others, saying that essentially Retro Studios was done with a Metroid remaster, but they just didn't know when it would release. We had Jeff Grubb famously putting his hair and beard on the line for a late 2022 release, and that did not happen, and of course he had to get his hair cut and his beard trimmed down. But all of that changed at the February Nintendo Direct, where Nintendo finally officially revealed that Metroid Prime 1 Remaster was not only coming, but it was shadow dropping that day of the Direct. But interestingly, there was no mention of Metroid Prime 2 Echoes, Metroid Prime 3 Corruption, or even, big surprise, Metroid Prime 4 that we have seen no footage of other than that logo reveal splash screen from years back. We haven't had a single look at this game, and I always was of the mindset that Nintendo would at least acknowledge that Metroid Prime 4's development was proceeding smoothly when they talked about something like Prime 1 Remaster, but they were just quick to the punch. They shadow dropped it. Physical edition would be coming out a few weeks after that shadow drop, and now the most recent word from Mr. Jeff Grubb is him stating that Metroid Prime 2 Echoes is set for a remaster, and it's coming relatively soonish, in his own words. Now, the reason we are deep diving this conversation today has to do with the fact that if we do indeed see Metroid Prime 2 Echoes revealed at the next Nintendo Direct, and it is a shadow drop, we can then safely assume that Nintendo is in something of a pattern here with the Metroid Prime remasters that are all set to release as part of the build-up for the ultimate reveal and launch date for Metroid Prime 4. And I personally believe that if it is indeed at this September Direct that we see Prime 2 Echo Shadow Drop, that we might know loosely when to expect Metroid Prime 4 to actually launch, because if you think about the time frame of these games being released, it is about a 6 to 7 month gap apart. And if Prime 2 Echoes is next in the holster, I believe that we would see roughly that same amount of time go by from when we ultimately see Nintendo reveal and shadow drop Prime 3 Corruption, meaning that could be at something like a June Nintendo Direct next year. And then I believe that ultimately positions Metroid Prime 4 to be something of a late 2024 or early 2025 game. And I also think that with where we are at in the current Nintendo Switch's life cycle, that we could likely see this become a cross-generational launch. And there was also all of that talk around Metroid Prime Remaster potentially being ready to go way earlier than when Nintendo decided to drop it. And I do believe that that could have actually tied into the fact that Nintendo knows what's going on with Retro and the development of Prime 4, and they likely just needed more time for the game. And I think all along they've had this plan to release 1 through 3 as part of the marketing promotional build-up for Prime 4, and it's probably about that 6 to 7 month time cycle apart from each other. And if we do indeed see this happen at the September Direct with the shadow drop of Prime 2 Echoes, I think you can almost safely say that not only will Metroid Prime 4 not be a 2023 game at all, but it probably won't be out until very late, like holiday season 2024 at the soonest. And I do think we're talking about new Nintendo Switch hardware, or whatever Nintendo's next gen console actually is at that point in time. But I also don't think that Nintendo will totally forego the entire install base of the Switch at the 125 plus million units that it has out there now. If they're smart, they will have it be a graphical showpiece for what the true upgraded next generation Nintendo console can run and perform at. And just like Metroid Prime 1 blew us away back on the GameCube, I believe that Prime 4 will showcase what you can really do with more powerful Nintendo hardware and a studio like Retro, who you know knows how to make a beautiful game. I still would argue that Prime 1 Remastered might be one of the best looking Nintendo Switch games that we have playable today, and I think they can do that, put their best foot forward with launching new Nintendo Switch launch hardware or it being in that same launch window of some sort, and maybe it runs at things like 4K when docked via DLSS upscaling and even a solid 60 frames per second, and maybe on the base model Switch that we have today, it runs at something like 30 FPS and a 1080p resolution docked, or more likely even something like 900 or 720p. And while it will still be fully functional and an enjoyable version of the game, it will definitely incentivize hardcore fans to go out and make sure that they have the more powerful console to enjoy this game to its entirety. And I really just believe that with all of the different updates we're seeing around Nintendo's 2023 lineup, I don't think you can actually write home and say that Metroid Prime 4 is coming anytime soon. I think that them revealing games like Super Mario Bros. Wonder and Super Mario RPG as the holiday 2023 titles without mentioning anything Metroid at the last June Direct, it kind of cements that. We're of course hearing the rumblings for Prime 2 Echoes Remastered, and it does sound like this one is slated to come out but also not get the same kind of love and care that we saw put into Prime 1 Remastered. And what I'm expecting is something more similar to the Pikmin remasters, where you have widescreen support. They will maybe touch up a few of the gameplay controls and give us those same kind of options that we saw in Prime 1 Remastered, but in terms of the textures being totally redone, it sounds like that's more or less off the table. Then Prime 3 Corruption follows that same kind of treatment, and we probably don't get that until the June Nintendo Direct at the soonest in 2024. And then we've identified a pattern where either at the September Direct and a quick turnaround for Metroid Prime 4's launch could happen like that in November, or it could be something where we see the game featured with a full gameplay reveal at the September Direct in 2024, and we actually don't get a launch date until the beginning of 2025, and it's out in that February, March, or even April time window. But it will be very interesting to see how this all continues to unfold. It is a great time to be a Metroid fan right now, though, because you know we've had entire Nintendo console generations where Metroid is just entirely skipped, and now in this environment we have Metroid Dread playable, which is the most fantastic like 2D entry in the series in my opinion personally. It really is the pinnacle of what a 2D Metroidvania style game can even be to begin with. We have the entirety of Metroid 1 through 5 playable via Nintendo Switch Online right now, although we still need Metroid Zero Mission to be brought over for GBA, which I'm sure is coming in the future, and I'm hopeful that the remake for Samus Returns is not ultimately always just locked to the 3DS. That definitely needs that Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon style port to the Switch. But outside of one-offs like that, and if we get Prime 1 through 3, we're gonna have essentially the mass majority of every Metroid game minus the spin-offs and things playable on one family of consoles, which is the Switch. And let's hope the Switch 2 is backwards compatible and we can enjoy these games for years and years to come. But I really want to hear from you guys at this point in the video what you think we will see Nintendo do with Metroid Prime from here. Do you think the Prime 2 rumors are indeed accurate and we will be seeing a reveal soon? Do you think it happens at the September Nintendo Direct, kind of like what I am thinking, or do you think they might go rogue and just do a surprise shadow drop on Twitter, like here's the brand new trailer and you can go download this game right now, and maybe it's not incorporated into a traditional Nintendo Direct at all? And definitely let me know whether or not you think that if Prime 2 Echoes does indeed come out at the September Direct, if that identifies something of that 6 to 7 month pattern where we can expect Prime 3 Corruption to be released in the same time window, and do you think that that signals that Prime 4 is a late 2024 or early 2025 game? So regardless of your thoughts and feelings on everything we talked about today, I do look forward to hearing from you all in the comments down below before we leave the video, as I do look forward to getting a back and forth conversation started with you all around these topics. Go watch yesterday's video next if you haven't already, which is on screen right now. Also make sure you like, subscribe, turn on your notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.